Ooh, yeah. Pac-Man QC and his happy little games are the cream of the crop. Ooh, yeah.
Hello everyone, and thanks for stopping back to check out the third and final installment in the history of Fire Pro Wrestling. This has been one of my absolute favorite wrestling franchises ever since the beginning, and to be honest, I was a bit surprised at how popular the game was. I knew it had a loyal fan base, but the response to my video has been very positive, so thank you for that. Enough of the hubbub though, let's get on with the show. King of Colosseum Red was another spin-off developed by the same folks who brought us the Fire Pro franchise and released it in the fall of 2002. This series goes back to its 3D roots once again with a brand new engine utilizing a high number of characters and moves. To be specific, the roster included over 80 licensed wrestlers from New Japan, All Japan, and Pancrase. We still have a few look-alike wrestlers which obviously had to be changed for rights issues. The unique aspect of this game was that it was the first title that would feature rival promotions New Japan and All Japan working together in video game form. The gameplay is very similar to their previous title, King Soul, but running at a much faster and smoother frame rate. The Powerballs also make their return. The game has over 1,000 different moves to be used in the game. The counter or reversal system is very in-depth and makes for some fantastic chain wrestling. Weight detection is also back, but again it has been refined. The edit mode is also similar to the one found in King Soul, but this time you can take your character to the trial mode where you can unlock moves and new wrestlers. You can also install the game on the hard drive, which greatly reduces loading times. Released just a few short months after King of Colosseum Red, King of Colosseum Green was released. This saw the inclusion of licensed promotions such as Pro Wrestling Noah and Zero One. There were over 70 wrestlers to choose from, but one fantastic feature was the ability to combine the two rosters into one if you owned both games. This brought the total of wrestlers to over 150, which was unheard of for a 3D wrestling game back in the day. Everything from the entrances to the running commentary to the actual moves themselves look and sound fantastic, and this is definitely one of the best wrestling games on the PlayStation 2.
グーパンチものすごいグーだ立たせていくバックを取って垂直落下しバックだカウントスリーが入りました
In 2003, Fire Pro Wrestling Z was released for the PlayStation 2. Most of the features found in Fire Pro Wrestling D were brought over, and since this was considered to be the last Fire Pro Wrestling game due to the long production times and cost factors, they decided to go all out by including requested items such as the story mode, which was last seen in Fire Pro G. The story mode revolves around 6 wrestlers, all based on real life characters with slight changes to avoid any sort of licensing issues. One thing that did not make the trip over from the Dreamcast was the network option, as well as being able to use the mouse in the create mode. As far as brand new moves added to the game, there were 50 or so available. There are now 385 different head models to use in the create mode. There is an unofficial translation patch available for download, but it only translated the menus and not the story mode. When the game was released, it came in 2 editions. The first one being the standard version of the game, and the second one being the retirement bundle box, which included a number of extras, such as a large box with a bottle opener, phone strap, and a documentation on the creation of the series starting with the very first Fire Pro Wrestling.
Give up!
2004 came along and we were treated to King of Colosseum 2 for the PlayStation 2. This would be the first game that all major Japanese federations would be featured, including New Japan, All Japan, Noah, and 01 all on the same disc. What this amounted to was over 150 wrestlers and almost 3,000 moves included in the game. It also showcases one of the coolest covers I have ever seen in a wrestling title, featuring Misawa, Chono, Hashimoto, and Muto all on the cover wearing suits and looking pretty fly for a bunch of Japanese guys. Of course, the edit mode is one of the star attractions, and there are now over 1,700 different parts to create, combine, and play around with to create various wrestlers from around the world. The controls are very similar to the first King of Colosseum game, which to be honest are very good for a 3D title. The Powerball system makes its return as well. You have your typical match assortments including singles, tag team, handicap, triple threat, battle royal, and a 5-on-5 team elimination match. The big addition to this version is Survival Road, which is equivalent to the story mode in the Fire Pro series. You have to fight the top wrestlers in each promotion to unlock rings, wrestler templates, outfits, and wrestlers themselves. This also includes a matchmaker mode which allows you to be the booker, a title match mode, and the dojo, which is the training mode that you can use if you're still struggling with the timing mechanics. The commentary itself has also been improved, and something I noticed happening more and more were the announcers getting more and more excited as the match continued. Sometimes the announcers will lose their mind if there's a 2.9 near fall. This is a fantastic update, but unfortunately it was the last in the King of Colosseum series.
10分経過。
おっと、
10
逆に
ミニッツ
捉えた。フェイスクラッシャー。ペースを持っていきたいですね。立たせていく。ウルネルソンからドラゴンだ。
They say wrestlers never really stay retired, and the same can be said of Fire Pro Wrestling. Fire Pro Wrestling Returns was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2005. This one was actually released in North America, and it brought back every feature from Fire Pro Wrestling Z, but this time the roster was up to 300 wrestlers and over 1,500 moves to choose from. There were slight improvements made to the gameplay, such as a charge move which can be used for Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music and Muto's Shining Wizard. Another cool addition is being able to dive off the cage like a crazy person. This game came about because sales were low on King of Colosseum 2, and the fan demand for this game was extremely high. If you love Fire Pro Wrestling, and I know you do, then you know what to expect from this title. The graphics and animation are superb, and there is no slowdown with all the action going on. It was so nice being able to pop this into my PlayStation 2 out of the box and being able to play without having to rely on a Japanese translation guide. This was cited as professional wrestlers Rob Van Dam and Stevie Richards' favorite wrestling title. Thanks to the presence of GameFAQs and Critical Club, we are able to use PlayStation 2 saves on your PlayStation 2 emulator. The advantage of this is being able to import a file with all of the wrestlers correctly renamed and hundreds of edits all with the correct logic. GameFAQs also has a bunch of different saves for King of Colosseum and various other Fire Pro titles. However, for this version of Fire Pro, this is definitely a must-have. The world of Fire Pro would remain silent for a number of years after the fantastic release of Fire Pro Returns. Rumblings would soon emerge about a version coming for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. This was to be known as Fire Pro Wrestling HD and featured full 1080p support with high-resolution sprites. It would also feature a rebuilt game engine, multiplayer support over Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network, but the big juicy tank tickler of it all was the promise of full English menus. It didn't take long for it to come out though that it was just an elaborate hoax. Fire Pro fans were up in arms while others got a big chuckle out of it, myself not included. Meanwhile, back in Japan, Fire Pro fans were treated to a version of the game for Japanese mobile phone networks by the name of Fire Pro Wrestling M. This was not a full-fledged Fire Pro game as it was quite limited due to the technology available at the time. What it amounted to was being able to create your character, and that was about it. It was a Tamagotchi type game where you train your character to build up their stats and equip them with a whopping 3 moves. You would then have your character face off against the CPU. The more matches you win, the more you could upgrade your stats and earn better parts and moves. If you didn't feel like grinding, you could always purchase these items with actual currency. The game was only in service for about 8 months and shut down in June of 2012. Thanks to Miguel over on Reddit for this information. People were definitely disappointed that the rumored Xbox 360 version of the game was a complete and utter fabrication. All I can say is, be careful for what you wish for. Before I start talking about the next game, let me point out the fact that over the last 4 years and 200 retrospectives and documentaries I've done, I have not cursed once. Sure, you might find a fart here or a toot there, and even possibly a short, sweet, queefy blast, but that was the extent of it. Fire Pro Wrestling was announced for Xbox Live Arcade in 2012. Fire Pro fans rejoiced. No screenshots were shown at the time, but when I got my first look at the game in action, there was only one thing I could say. Jesus, Harold, Christ on a cracker, what in the hell is this? The last time I was in such shock, awe, and disbelief was when George Clooney pulled out the Bat credit card in Batman and Robin.
Never leave the cave without it.
With that being said, this would be the first full Fire Pro game in 8 years since Fire Pro Wrestling Returns was released. As you can see from the clips, this uses your avatar in a full 3D based party game. Up to 4 players can compete against each other, and that's where the fun ends. Gone is the timing-based grapple system, and in its place is a first button to grapple, second button to execute the move type of system. Something called a power push system was created, which requires intense button mashing to break free from holds. The animations are horrendous, and it makes WWE All-Stars look like a Picasso. It did have 300 different parts of costumes and upgradable moves, but clearly this game was going to be sold on the Fire Pro name alone, which makes this the worst Fire Pro game ever.
new Fire Pro Wrestling game, huh? I got this.
Kenny Omega starting out strong. An elbow to the face. Omega won't take this sitting down. And a low blow. He'll be feeling that tomorrow. This can't be good. It looks like a devastating pile driver.
Not like this.
Is this lights out for Omega?
Kenny!
But wait. Kota Ibushi's at the ropes. Begging Kenny to tag him in. Turn your living room into a ring with Fire Pro Wrestling World. Fight alongside and against your favorite New Japan Pro Wrestling talent in the all-new scenario mode. Edit custom wrestlers, title belts, and more to book your dream match. Then, share your creations online and battle with players from around the globe.
Golden Trigger!
Who do you have in your corner?
Tag a friend, and we'll see you in the ring.
Fire Pro Wrestling World, available August 28th.
2017 was a banner year for Fire Pro fans. Fire Pro Wrestling World was announced to huge fanfare from the Fire Pro community, and it would also be released on PlayStation 4 and Steam. For over 10 years, designer Matsumoto Tomoyuki, who got a start working with Human and had later joined Spike to continue working on the series, wanted to bring the game to modern systems. The company showed zero interest. Thankfully, Steam came along and it showed Spike that there was a lot of value in introducing their games to the Western market. They finally agreed, and in December 2017, the game went into early access on the platforms. The game uses the same familiar 2D sprites that have been upscaled to HD resolution at a full 1080p. All of the features from Fire Pro Returns makes their return, and the game now includes over 1,000 moves. Japanese copyright laws were changed, so look-alike wrestlers were not as viable as they were in the past. Matsumoto included support for the Steam Workshop, which is a tool for players to create and share modified content and upload their creations for other people to download. This also lets Spike off the hook from any sort of lawsuits. The game's edit mode is just as good as the one found in Fire Pro Returns, although thanks to the PC you get an insane amount of freedom when creating your wrestlers. You can now include custom MP3 files for your entrance music and custom logos as well. One major addition is the online play, which sees players from around the world match up to see who's the best when it comes to the world of Fire Pro. Up to 8 people can compete online in the same match. During early access, it was announced that New Japan Pro Wrestling would become an official part of the game, and it would include a story mode entitled Fighting Road. The game is absolutely fantastic, and the creates some people have made are mind-blowing. Even as of just a few months ago, I've seen some excellent cel-shaded creations such as He-Man, Skeletor, and Scooby-Doo. If you have a modern system and you only own one Fire Pro game in your life, be sure and check this one out. There were a couple of cell phone only versions of Fire Pro that came out in the early 2000s, but they were gone just as quick as a fart in the wind. Fire Pro Wrestling I and Fire Pro Wrestling J were cell phone exclusives that were basically roster management simulations. You create your own wrestler, train him, and challenge other wrestlers. Not much is known about these two games, and they have since been lost to the sands of time. When I started this series, I didn't realize how big the fan base for the franchise had become. I know all the times I've played this over the years and how much joy and excitement it's brought me and my friends, but didn't realize it was as huge as it was. Thanks to the mostly unlicensed roster, We get to relive our dream matches with excellent controls and a little bit of suicide thrown in that was inspired by Kurt Cobain, according to Goichi Suda. Just a little side note, he wrote a happy ending as well as a suicide ending, but at the end of the day, he opted to only have the suicide ending. I think this sets it apart from other games back in the day, and here we are 30 years later still talking about it. Unfortunately, Masuda Masato passed away a few years back, but he created a game series that is still going strong for over 30 years. Masuda's voice has even graced the Fire Pro games as the referee. Remember, a winner is you, so thanks for watching. Big thanks to Leapin' Lanny Poffo, brother of Randy Macho Man Savage, for doing his impression at the start of this video.
What's up, Pat Man? This is AJ. I said I could do Macho Man and send you my attempt. If you don't like it, it's all good. It's not the best, but I can do. Do it on my lunch break here at work. Figure out to send you something now. That way, it doesn't take too long.
Ooh, yeah! Dig it! Happy little games, yeah! Happy little games, yeah!
Oh, yeah, look what the kid dragged in. Come here, kitty, kitty, kitty. He dragged you in. A bag full of the madness, yeah. So you're welcome in advance. And right now, and I can't take it back, but you're justifiably in a place that you may rather not be in, but you're here. So give it your all, yeah. So get all up, be that sponge, and take in everything that is the madness. The reigning champion, oh yeah. Now, that's not to say because I have all of this madness, you're gonna have a good day every day, maybe even twice on Sunday. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna have those bad days and good days again, because you're not the macho man. Well, yeah, but I am here to tell you that there are gonna be those days, but you're gonna be able to get through all those days. Yeah, if you remember one valuable lesson. 2, that you're not the madness, and that's okay. No one can be. Just me, the macho man. But 2, you gotta make sure, above all else, just like what you put in your cup of joe in the morning, you gotta be the cream of the crop. Oh yeah, you gotta be the cream of the crop and rise to the top. Yeah, on that time where you think that you can't do it right, and you're in a meeting for over an hour, and you're justifiably in that position that you'd rather not be in again, and you can just get everything solved in an email, and then you regret and say, why did I join this meeting? Yeah, but you did, and you gotta go all the way through it. Trains just don't stop. Do they stop? Elizabeth? Never mind. Yeah. Anyways, you get the gist of what I'm saying. Make sure, again, you can't be me. You can possibly buy a replica of this belt, yeah, but you won't be me. But at least you can be you. And you alone control how you rise to the top, yeah. So slap to a Slim Jim, rise to the top like the cream in your coffee. Give it your all. Possibly not join that meeting that you know can be solved with just that. Anyways, yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm putting down. I write the music notes, but you're the one who's got to play the piano. Ooh, yeah. Get yourself a Slim Jim. Listen to this every morning, and you possibly could be at that level. But if not, watch the video. Soak in the madness. Be you and rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me on Patreon, please click the link below. Thank you so much for watching.